the home of the common Joe and the common Sally in the know, even more so than all those media talking heads. Seems like the chatter of Jeff Lebby coming to Alabama as the offensive coordinator has picked up some steam. Now, I'm not quite sold just yet myself as an Alabama fan, but it seems like it's picked up a little bit, and there's a good reason why Jeff Lebby may indeed leave Oklahoma, his alma mater, to come to Alabama. Let's talk about it. Well. How's it going out today, boys and girls in sporty land? I am the OCF. That's the Outlaw of College Football, also known as JPC. That stands for Jesse Paul Clark on Facebook, spelled J-S-S-C without the I. Also on Twitter at OCF Productions. Now, getting right to it. Like I said, I wasn't really sold on Jeff Lebby coming to Alabama. To me, he hasn't proven enough yet at Oklahoma as being the guy fully in charge of the offense yet. But obviously, from what I'm hearing, Saban sees something in him as far as cutting edge goes. And he could be right because the kind of offense that Jeff Lebby runs, while in the first year, it's really hard to judge anybody. They're in a transition period. They're getting their system in. They're getting their players in that want to buy into their process. So if Jeff Lebby does stay at Oklahoma in the next couple of years, we'll probably see exactly how good he is. So we're not going to judge him on this first year where they went 6-7 because there was a lot of turmoil going on. But there's a real good reason why Jeff may indeed exit Oklahoma real early in his first year at Oklahoma, in his only year at Oklahoma. And a lot of Oklahoma fans are pissed off about that, and that's understandably so. They've already been through a really shady situation with one they call Linky Boy, Tebow. That stands for the bitch out west, by the way. A lot of people ask me what that means because outside of Oklahoma, nobody knows. But that's neither here nor there. But there's a real good reason. And the reason is, if Jeff Lebby goes to Alabama, he will be more of on a fast track to be a head coach. Now, a lot of Oklahoma fans out there disagree with that. But, that's probably some of your bias coming in because of your passionate love for your program. And Oklahoma fans are some of the most passionate fans I've ever met. They're great supporters of my channel. So, I don't want to piss them off by any means. But I'm a guy that tries to be blatantly truthful about everything. I mean, it gets me in trouble sometimes, but I have to be blunt because that's what this show's all about. But I looked at this list of offensive coordinators at Alabama. You would think with Nick Saban being a defensive-minded coach that a lot of his defensive coordinators would have went on to be head coaches. But it's because they haven't had a lot of turnover at the defensive coordinator position. Whereas with the offensive coordinator's position in Alabama, this is the 6th offensive coordinator in the last 8 years. It ain't because they got fired. It's because they got head coaching jobs, which is amazing. It even goes back to Nick Saban's first year when he didn't really keep this guy. He sort of run this guy off. Major Applewhite was the offensive coordinator at Alabama for the first year that Nick Saban was here. Him and Saban had a parting of ways, but he ended up, I think he was an assistant for a little while at Houston, and then he ended up being the head football coach at Houston for a short time. Then it was Jim McElwain. Jim McElwain come in and done a really good job. One of my favorite offensive coordinators at Alabama of all time. And then he got a head coaching offer at Colorado State. Done really well there. And then parlayed that into a head coaching job at Florida, where we know they're like the most southern version of Texas A&M as far as being a cult with their boosters and whatnot. They're a real cult-like atmosphere. So it's hard to coach down there if you're not Steve Spurrier or Urban Meyer. And even Urban Meyer had to cut out. He couldn't even put up with it. But, yeah, he went to Florida, and now He's at Central Michigan, so he's still a head coach. Then you have Mike Loxley, who was offensive coordinator here, failed miserably at New Mexico as a head coach, but came here to the Saban car wash, as they call it. I think he was offensive coordinator just 1 year or 2 years and got the head coaching job at Maryland, another Power 5 team. Then comes in Lane Kiffin. You know, Lane Kiffin had a checkered past. He went to Tennessee for 1 year, left them high and dry, went to USC, and then they fired him on the tarmac. And then he ended back up here at Alabama in that famous or infamous, whatever you want to call it, according to what side you're on, at the Saban car wash. And he done his time here, done about 3 or 4 years here at Alabama. Done really well, especially with the lack of quarterback that we had sometimes with him. I mean, Jacob Coker was a good quarterback, but not a great quarterback. Blake Sims, same thing. And he went on to be the head coach at Florida Atlantic and parlayed that into now a Power 5 job with the Ole Miss Rebels. Enter Steve Sarkisian. Steve Sarkisian comes in. He's the coordinator for a couple of years. You know, Sarkisian also had been the head coach at USC. Comes in, goes through the Saban car wash. Boom! He gets another Power 5 job, one of the probably most coveted Power 5 jobs as far as money goes, in the Texas Longhorns. Now, as far as the defense coordinators, they too have parlayed jobs, but he hasn't had as many defensive coordinators. Kirby Smart, as we all know, the most famous of Saban's proteges, was with Saban the longest. I think he was with them for 9 seasons, and he went on to coach the Georgia Bulldogs and finally built them into a national championship contending team. So he parlayed his not only into a head coaching success, but national championship success. Then there was Jeremy Pruitt, who come here for a couple of seasons as the defensive coordinator and ended up getting a Power 5 job at Tennessee, which didn't work out because of shady-ass Phil Fulmer, in my opinion. So that's what? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 coordinators that have come to Alabama, and most of them within 2 to 3 years get a head coaching job. Now, can Jeff Lebby be guaranteed that at Oklahoma with Brent Venables, who's still pretty much a green head coach? He showed his prowess recruiting, but he hasn't showed that he can translate that yet into wins in the win column. Also, because he's a new coach, there's no history to go by as to whether he will have a tree like Nick Saban and help coaches to further themselves as far as getting a head coaching job. Whereas with Saban, it's right there. Like I said, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 coordinators ended up being head coaches under Nick Saban. So you can't blame Jeff Lebby if he sees that and decides, hey, I love my alma mater, but this is what I got to do. This is what's best for me and my career and my family. And I think it would give me a better shot at achieving my ultimate goal, which is being a head coach one day. And I think if Jeff Lebby come to Alabama, that indeed might happen. It might even be Nick Saban's replacement, because I think that Nick Saban, when he hires these 2 coordinators, may be his last hiring of coordinators before he retires. So these 2 coordinators that he's bringing in, one of them may be a head coach in waiting, and that might be the only reason that Jeff Lebby would leave his alma mater in Oklahoma and the love that he has for that school. And that's all I got to say about that. You guys and gals, tell me what you think about all this. Do you think that these are adequate reasons for Jeff to leave, or are you going to, for the Sooners out there, are you going to hold it and axe to grind with him like you did with Lincoln Riley? I could blame you with Lincoln Riley, but not so much with this, because this might be an opportunity that could put him on the fast track to be a head coach. Drop in the comment section, tell me what you think. Also, there's a heart down here. If you don't mind, hit that. Throw me a few dollars in the coffer. Like, share, comment, and subscribe. I don't know if I said that before, but I'm going to say it again. KMCA to all the other teams. Class is now officially dismissed.